Live yet? All right, we're live. Yay. Awesome.
Yay.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Facebook Live where we talk about ways to improve your quality of life and quantity of life. I am Dr. Ola Binton. I am the CEO and co founder of Living Spring Family Medical Center here in the beautiful city of Mansfield, Texas. I don't know why Facebook is doing this to me. It's telling me it's not going live on Facebook. Come on. Anyway,
Well,
we're excited to be having this conversation again today. If you're watching live, you know what to do. Hashtag live. If you're watching replay, hashtag replay. If you know someone who could benefit from this conversation, please, forward this video to them and have them join us. Today, we'll be talking about natural ways to control heartburn. And I'm very excited to have a repeat guest with us today, the one and only Dr. Dana Gibbs. Hi, Doc. How are you?
hey, I'm doing great today. I am doing great. And this is actually one of my favorite topics. So
Yay.
excited,
All right.
very
Awesome.
excited.
Awesome. Now, for those who are watching who are like, well, she's a repeat guest, I don't recognize her. Could you kindly introduce yourself? Who are you and what do you do?
Sure, absolutely. So I am a former ear, nose, and throat specialist and ENT allergist. I have recently retired from doing that and have opened a hormone and thyroid and metabolic health practice. Still in the mid cities area. My office is in South Lake, but I am virtual 90% of the time. So, yeah, that's what I do.
Why do you do what you do? What got
Oh
you on
my
this
gosh.
path? Uh-huh. The
Well,
short version.
the short version,
Yeah.
yeah, because it is a long story. So the short version is um, while I was a med student and a resident, I got really tired and really sick and pretty what I thought was depressed, what the doctors thought was depressed, but it turned out to be thyroid problems and hormone problems related to stress. And it took me years and years and years to figure out what was going on. But meanwhile, I graduated from my residency and I moved back home here to Arlington, Texas, and decided that I needed to learn allergy as well as ENT because here in Texas, most sinus problems are related to allergy. And so I figured out very quickly that I needed to learn that on my own. But the exciting part about that was that I learned what to do about heartburn and food sensitivity. So we'll get to talk about that in a minute. Um, but as I went on in practice, I learned some things about what had happened to me before, and I learned how to treat what was going on with me, which turned out to be thyroid problems.
Mm.
And then, so when I decided, you know what, I think I'm done doing surgery and would like to do something different, that's what I brought forward with me because I had been doing it for a long time for my patients that came in with sinus or they came in with a thyroid nodule or whatever. I would help them with the same kind of treatments that I practiced basically on myself because nobody else knew about it, and found it super helpful. So yeah, that's what I do now.
Awesome. I love how the ebbs and flow and how you came to this conclusion because you're helping a lot of people with what you do. Now we're talking heartburn, acid reflux. Doc, what's that? What is heartburn? What's that?
You know, it's funny because acid reflux is sometimes it's acid and sometimes it isn't, but reflux means any stomach contents that come backwards. I don't know if you can see me. I'm saying backwards from your stomach up your esophagus and up into your throat. And the reason that's important to ENT doctors is because it when it gets all the way up into your throat, then you can feel it.
Mm.
And almost everybody has had this experience one time in their life where you ate a big dinner and then you bent over afterwards and it's like food you can feel come up into your throat and it's like,
Mm.
oh, that was gross, and it burns and it's uncomfortable. And a lot of ENT patients will end up with hoarseness, or they'll end up with this scenario where they're clearing their throat all the time. And I'm looking at them going, yeah, I know what's wrong with you. You have reflux. But the funny thing is, a lot of people who have reflux have it because they have not enough acid, not because they have too much acid. And then some people do actually have a lot of acid in their stomach, but it can be either one. And so sometimes there are fancy tests that you can go and have where they measure the acidity of what's going on in your stomach and the acidity of what's going on in your esophagus, and gastro doctors do that all the time. But it's really like when I see a patient who has been on a reflux blocking medicine or an acid blocking medicine for a really long time, I always ask them, I said, okay, what's irritating your stomach? What's irritating your innards? And a lot of people look at me like, what are you talking about? I have acid reflux. I have indigestion. I'm like, yeah, but something's causing it.
Right?
Do you know what you eat that causes that problem? And a lot of people don't. A lot of people have never, it has never occurred to them that the food that they put into their mouth or that the drinks that they drink can be causing that thing. And because of the allergy training that I had, I saw more and more and more people who had food sensitivities who would eat something and then their stomach would reject it, basically, and then start squeezing too hard and shooting it up the wrong way. Because the acid blocking medicines may control the acid, but they don't stop the stuff from coming up. When it's a food allergy that's causing the problem. So if you do realistically, if you do have too much acid, if what's coming up is acid, and this thing seems a little bit counterintuitive, but one of the remedies that I would have people do, I would have them drink a tiny little bit of diluted apple cider vinegar.
Okay.
And what that does is, because it's acid, because vinegar is acidic, is you swallow that maybe 20-30 minutes before you eat dinner, and it tells your stomach, because your stomach senses how much acid is in there.
Okay. And
if you swallow a pill that blocks your acid, then your stomach is just like, oh, well, we need to make more. We need to grow more of the kind of cells that produce acid.
Okay.
And so people who go on those medicines will find, oh, well, I have to double the dose, and then I have to double the dose and take it twice a day, and then even that doesn't work. But if you will trigger a reaction in your stomach where your stomach says, oh, I don't need to make a lot of acid, I have enough, then sometimes that apple cider vinegar will just calm things down and it'll all be good. But that's not always the reason why. It's not always too much acid.
Okay.
Sometimes what's coming up is actually stuff coming up from your intestines, and it can be basic. It can be the opposite of acidic, but it still burns. It's like bleach or Drano. It can cause ulcers just as much as the acidic stuff. And if that's the case, then it's likely that the person doesn't have enough acid.
Okay.
Or they don't have enough digestive enzymes. And so there are digestive aids that you can buy. There's one that I like that's a combination of a little bit of HCl and a little bit of betaine and a little bit of digestive enzymes, and that really, really helps. Helps you take it along with your meal, and it helps you digest the food that you're eating better. But really, in my experience, the simplest way is to eat your foods one by one and as a test. So like if you're worried that it might be wheat that you're having a sensitivity to, then you get some cream of wheat and you mix it up and you eat it as an experiment.
Okay.
And if 30 minutes later you're burping and stuff's coming up your throat, then you got you got your answer. There it is. It's wheat. Okay, I'm going to stop eating wheat. It's very, very frequently people will have trouble with dairy products. The traditional thing that people have been told is that you're eating too much fat. That was, for a long, long time, we would tell people, don't eat fat, don't drink alcohol, don't eat chocolate, all
Mint.
these things that, it's like those are the old saws, the traditional things that people have been told cause reflux. And maybe they are, but not always. And you can figure it out if you'll go through your eating for about a week and write down all the stuff you eat and then test
Okay.
those foods out one by one with as pure a form of that food as you can figure out how to get. Like I said, wheat, cream of wheat. Yeast. I know it sounds yucky, but go to the grocery store and buy a packet of Fleischmann's yeast and stir it into some water and drink it. And if you're like, oh my God, that upset my stomach so bad, you got your answer. It's yeast. It could be eggs, it could be soy, it could be dairy. I was sensitive to eggs for years and years, and they would just set me off big time.
So you're talking about the allergies, that the one that triggers the acid reflux. So
Well, okay, so here's the deal. Yes, yes and no. I'm going to call it a sensitivity because
okay,
if you were to go to an allergist and say to that allergist, please test me for all the things, I want to know what I'm allergic to.
right?
They're going to do a food test on you for IgE, and it's going to come back that you're not allergic to anything. And you're going
Okay,
to be like, oh, okay, I can eat whatever I want, but I still have the reflux. And you won't have gained any knowledge.
okay.
So it's much, much easier to do it yourself.
I like that. It saves money, and I don't think they can test for all the foods we possibly eat.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be all the foods you possibly eat. I tell people when you make your diary and you write down everything, then test the foods that you eat every day.
Okay, right.
Test the things that you eat almost every day. Because it might just not just be fat. It might just be the soybean oil that this restaurant uses to fry their French fries.
Okay. Okay, gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
yeah, so specific foods, yeah, coffee, chocolate, high fat, whatever. Alcohol, those are the ones that are kind of,
Spicy food.
traditionally said spicy food. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
spicy
you
food.
know what? I can eat spicy food all day, but if I put egg in my mouth, I'm going to have heartburn.
Okay. So let's say
So,
for the person who has no food sensitivities, right? And there's high acid. So let's talk, because you already alluded to some of the solution you talked about, as apple cider vinegar as a way
mhm,
to try it before eating. You said to dilute that. But
yes,
are there other
yes,
natural remedies you recommend for managing acid reflux without relying on medications?
right. So, that supplement that I mentioned that has the betaine
Hmm.
HCl in there is a great one. And digestive enzymes, because those are deficiencies that
Okay.
cause reflux for people. So those are one. And
Can you spell the
then
betaine? Can you spell it BETAINE?
it's BETAINE and then capital H, capital C, little L.
Okay, betaine HCl. Okay.
Betaine HCl, and you have that, right before you eat, and it helps a lot. Um, so yeah, that can be really helpful. I mean, used to be we thought Zantac was really safe. Ranitidine,
I
we gave it
remember.
to everybody, and we thought it was wonderful, so much better than Prilosec. And then it comes out that the darn stuff causes cancer, and it's like, well, shoot, terrible.
Now, for someone who's
Um,
watching, who's like, well, how do you know the betaine is better than the medication? Do you have any insights on that? Because I know my viewers are wondering, like, well, how do I know the supplements?
well, I mean, betaine is a compound that's naturally present in your body already.
Okay.
So it's not a drug.
Okay.
Um, and HCl, the second part of it, HCl, is what your stomach is supposed to be making in the first place. So, like I said, when you add HCl to your stomach, it tells your stomach to stop making so much acid.
Okay.
So it works basically the same way as the apple cider vinegar.
Okay. Apple cider vinegar can be rough, especially if you let it sit for a while.
Mm, yeah, but you dilute it. I mean, you're not taking, I mean, like one capful in an 8-ounce glass of water or something like that. I'm not
Okay.
talking a ton of it.
Okay.
Yeah, if you try to drink it straight, it's gonna
It's
take
rough.
the top of your head off.
It's rough. It's rough.
Wow. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk. Any other supplements you recommend? Because I'm taking notes.
I it's after years and years of treating people with reflux and having so many of them come back and say, "Doc, you were right. It was eggs, or it was soy, or it was it." It. You're right. It's not an allergy, but very, very frequently people will figure out something that's triggering it, and as long as they stay away from whatever that is, then they don't have problems.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. I like that. Now, next question. Can lifestyle changes, such as diet and exercise, play a significant role in reducing acid reflux discomfort?
I believe absolutely yes. Be, because one of the things that I tell people is not to eat late. Don't eat late before you're getting ready to go lie down. And if you really have it, I would say 3 hours before you're going to lie down. So
Okay.
eat at 6, bed at 9 or later. So that's a big one. But the quality of what you eat makes a huge difference, and there are lots of pro-inflammatory fats, and so I know I kind of make fun of the people who say don't eat fat, but truthfully, restaurant fried foods, ugh, are really, really not great for a lot of different reasons, not just for reflux issues. But I do think that they are pro-inflammatory and cause a lot of problems for people. Um, the other thing would be to watch when you're doing things that you're going to have to bend over. And it's like, okay, I'm going to drink a big glass of milk and then I'm going to bend over and tie my shoes and go for a walk. Well, it's going to come up. And then pregnant ladies, boy, I'll tell you what, I feel for you pregnant ladies, because reflux is kind of, it's kind of a thing when you're pregnant. It's just a thing. Eating smaller portions and more frequently can help also, because it's, your stomach is a certain size, and the fuller it gets, the more likely it is that stuff is going to come backwards up the wrong way. And then, yeah, so I don't know if exercise in particular, I just wouldn't exercise right after you
Right
eat.
after eating, right?
It's
Yeah,
not a great idea.
that's not a good
I
idea.
mean, and it's funny because for everybody else, I say, yeah, if you just ate a big heavy meal, go for a walk, because that helps lower your blood sugar.
Right.
So it's like, okay, which one's worse? But I do think that if you have the tendency towards high blood sugar, then that means you have high insulin, and high insulin can worsen reflux. And so anything that you're doing to help you control pre-diabetes type conditions, or even diabetes, can also help reduce reflux symptoms.
All right. You shared a lot of very helpful tips. And I have someone who's asking and says, it happens to me sometimes when I lay down to sleep. I know you said it before,
Yeah.
but can you help? And thank you so much, Ms. Asico, for joining. Could you emphasize your response to that question? What can you do to help minimize the risk of that when you go down to sleep?
Sure. So the position that is most helpful for sleeping if you have reflux at night would be lying on your left side with your, or on your back with your head propped up just a little bit. And so I would frequently recommend that people go and buy a foam wedge. And by a foam wedge, I mean a pillow that's got this shape to it. And I'm making a triangle with my hands. You know, you don't have to raise your head up a lot, but maybe about 8 inches. And you don't just want to raise your head. You just, you know, I hear a lot of people go, oh, I sleep on 2 pillows. Well, I'm like, that raises your head up. It doesn't raise your esophagus up. So your esophagus being that little tube between your stomach and your mouth, the wedge pillow starts at your hips and raises your back and your head up so that gravity is keeping your stomach contents down where it needs to be.
Okay.
You can also, I know a lot of people now have these adjustable beds, which just adjust the head of your bed up a little bit, adjust your knees up a little bit so that your stomach is lower than your throat. And that will help quite a bit at night.
All right, awesome. My next question, I hope that helps for the person who asked that question. Now let's talk stress. How does stress impact acid reflux, and what natural stress reduction techniques can be beneficial?
Oh boy, there are so many. So stress is, well, let's just talk about what stress is. So stress is anything that your primitive brain sees as a threat to your existence or your family's existence. And so stress makes you have thoughts that then produce emotions like fear, anger, anxiety. I'm trying to think, disgust is one of the other ones, but you know what I'm talking about, those unpleasant emotions that make you feel like you're threatened. And so anything that you do that reduces those will help your digestion, because when you're high stress, it basically shuts down your digestion. And that's probably a huge reason why a lot of people get reflux in the first place. And so if you can do things that reduce your stress level, like exercise, like yoga, like walking, like playing basketball, just anything that you like to do, that can really help. But there's also a lot of mind tricks that you can use to help reduce stress. One of them is like box breathing, where if somebody says something that triggers negative thoughts in your mind and you're getting ready to yell at them, or you're in the car and you're like, somebody just cuts you off in traffic and you're just, it's, if you can recognize that that's happening and stop, just stop, take 2 deep breaths and go, okay, is it going to help me to lose my stuff at this person who doesn't even know me because they're in the car and they're already gone?
Right.
Does it help you? So just consciously be aware of, okay, I'm going to distract myself by feeling the ridges on the tips of my fingers, or by feeling my toes inside my shoes, or by taking 5 slow deep breaths in and out. Just really, I mean, there's way more than we have time to talk about here, but just really simple things like that can really help people control their stress. But the funny thing about stress is that it comes from your thoughts. It comes from what you think that creates those emotions. And those emotions go directly to your brain and cause you to release cortisol. Yeah. Crazy stuff, huh? I did not know that. I recently did a talk about stress and I learned that and I was like, whoa, that's incredibly profound.
I like the point you made that the person who triggered you goes away, does their own thing, and you're left with the consequences of the stress they brought on you, which can affect your gut. That's a powerful revelation or reminder. So, and I like that you talked about things that people can do even while at work, because a lot of times in conversations with clients and patients, it's like when I get home, I will de-stress. Well, you're staying at work for a long period of time. We've got to find ways at work to de-stress, not holding on to
Yes.
things, like not taking things personally, having little cues that remind you how awesome you are, you know, deep breathing, taking a walk, phoning a friend who encourages you, looking at something that makes you laugh, giggling to yourself. I don't
Yeah,
know,
funny cat videos.
or whatever, like intentionally looking for things throughout the day that would de-stress you, so that you're not carrying all of that. So I just wanted to highlighted that. And yes, I have such a lady 72 saying yes, never would have connected stress as a cause. Um,
Yeah.
now I have.
Stress is very physical in your body. People don't
Mhm.
know that.
Now, I have someone who's watching who's like, you know what, doc? I hear what you're saying. I like what you're saying. I don't like taking medicines, and I want this. I want to use, natural means to limit um, my acid reflux symptoms. Is there a time when you recommend that they should actually take the medicine, or, um, or and I guess that's a leading question. There are patients who are being told,
Sure.
no, yeah, try the natural things, but you definitely need to be on the medicines. Of course, we cannot
Yeah.
exhaust the whole list, but are there people who, like, what's your advice for that person who's like, I don't want medicine,
Sure.
but I've tried all the things and I still have heartburn.
I mean, if you've tried all the things, like the stuff that we just talked about, and you're still having significant heartburn after, I don't know, 3 months, and you're still noticing it, and you've done everything we've talked about, um, doing a trial of the medications is reasonable. It really is reasonable. And the reason why is because stomach contents and acid and other chemicals from your GI tract coming up your esophagus can cause something called Barrett's changes or Barrett's esophagus. And that is a risk for esophageal cancer. And so getting that under control is really, really important. Um, and here's another thing. You should also go to your doctor and explain what's going on, because reflux can be a sign of other more serious things. It can be a sign of something called SIBO, or something called, there's a bacteria called H. pylori now that we can treat with medicine. That's a shorter course of medicine, not a reflux pill that you go on forever and ever. But it's important to take care of those things if you have those.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure we highlighted that, have discussions, try the natural things, but make sure you seek care that's personalized to you, just to make sure there's nothing else that's causing it.
Yeah,
So thank you for highlighting that. Doc, this
yeah,
was
yeah.
good. It went by
Yeah, it
so
was
quickly.
fun.
We got 2 minutes left. So for those who are
Oh my
wondering,
gosh.
yeah, it went by quick. Um, so for those who are watching who are like, I want to talk to this doctor, I see that she's about also hormone health, balance, thyroid. I see that in her bio. Doc, where can people find you to connect with you, either as a speaker or to work with you?
Sure. So the easiest way to find me is on my website, which is www.danagibbsmd.com. And if you go there, I have a variety of programs. And if you click through, you can find my um, Calendly link to get a discovery call with me, which doesn't cost anything, and go from there.
All right, awesome, awesome. This is good. For those of you who are watching live, thank you for joining us. Zashawn, thank you. I think Jakai joined earlier too. Thank you so much for joining. This has been really good. Be encouraged. There are things you could try, but of course, if we need to have you start medicines, please have that conversation with your doctor. But thank you so much, Dr. Dana, for doing this again. This has been very helpful. I learned a couple of things myself that I'm going to use to empower my patients as well.
Awesome.
But this was really good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me again. Thank you very much. I enjoy speaking to you always, and you're an amazing doctor, and I'm so proud of what you've put together and what you do in your
Thank you.
office.
Thank
It's
you so much. I'm
amazing.
going to try not to blush life. All right. Thank you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for spending this your evening with us. If you or anyone you know, as I always ask, is looking for a great physician who's caring, thorough, and compassionate, and will help empower you to live long and
Wait,
well,
that one.
please
That
let
one
them
there.
know. Let them know about me. And as always, please forward these videos to those you know who could benefit from this. You can like, you can subscribe to this channel as well, so you get alerted when we have conversations like this. Okay. Thank you all again. This was very good. A lot of engagement. All right, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.